God says, listen closely, my beloved soul, and let your heart slow down just enough to feel what has always been near you. This moment did not arrive loudly, and it did not force itself into your awareness. It came gently, the way memories surface when you least expect them, the way love reminds you of itself without asking permission. You are here because something within you recognized a familiar warmth, not curiosity alone, but connection. The one you cherished did not leave emptiness behind. Love does not leave voids, it leaves imprints. It stays in the way you think, the way you care, the way certain moments still feel meaningful even when you cannot explain why. God says, what you are sensing now is not loss speaking to you. It is love continuing its conversation in a quieter language. This message is not meant to pull you into the past or hold you there. It is meant to meet you exactly where you are now, in the present version of yourself that has grown, endured, and learned how to keep moving forward. The truth meant for you is not something shocking or overwhelming. It is something steady, something reassuring, something that settles rather than unsettles. God says, the heart recognizes what the mind cannot always name. That is why you felt drawn here without urgency, without fear. You did not need to be convinced. You simply arrived. That arrival itself is a form of understanding. It shows that you are open enough to receive comfort without resistance. You may have carried unanswered thoughts quietly, moments when you wished you could hear one more sentence, feel one more reassurance, or simply know that you are still seen. God says, being seen does not end when physical presence changes. It deepens. It becomes less visible but more constant, less dramatic but more enduring. As you stay with these words, notice how your breathing feels, how your thoughts soften instead of racing. That calm is not accidental. It is the environment this message needs to unfold properly. Truth that is meant for the heart does not arrive through intensity. It arrives through peace. God says, you are not being asked to interpret or analyze anything right now. You are being invited to listen with the same openness you once listened with when love felt uncomplicated. The message continues gently, revealing itself layer by layer, with the same care and tenderness that has always surrounded you, even when you did not notice it. The message continues not as a sudden revelation, but as a slow unfolding, the way morning light fills a room without noise. God says, what was shared between you and the one you cherished was never limited to words or moments. It was formed in understanding, in shared silence, in the unspoken language of care that does not need explanation. That is why even now, when you pause long enough, you can still feel a familiar steadiness inside you, a reassurance that does not shout but gently stays. There were times you questioned whether you did enough, whether you said enough, whether love was fully expressed before circumstances changed. God says, love is not measured by timing or by completion. Love is measured by sincerity, and sincerity leaves nothing unfinished. What mattered was already known. What needed to be felt was already felt. Nothing meaningful was left undone. This truth is important because it releases you from carrying quiet weight that was never meant to be yours. You were never expected to hold everything perfectly. You were only meant to be real, and you were. The message meant for you is not asking you to revisit pain or reopen old chapters. It is offering you permission to move forward without guilt, without lingering doubt, without the feeling that something essential was left unresolved. God says, the bond you shared has shifted form, not meaning. It now exists as guidance rather than presence, as strength rather than dependence. You may notice that during moments of uncertainty, you often arrive at clarity sooner than expected. You may feel supported during decisions that once felt heavy. This is not coincidence. It is the natural continuation of a connection that was always rooted in care. There is a reason you are being reminded of this now. You are entering a phase where your choices matter deeply, where your confidence needs to be grounded, not forced. The message is arriving to steady you, not to distract you. It is reminding you that you are not navigating your life without inner support. You are not as alone as your thoughts sometimes suggest. God says, you do not need signs, symbols, or dramatic confirmations. The truth meant for you is simple and strong. You were loved fully. You are still valued deeply. And you are allowed to live well, freely, and openly without carrying the past as a burden. What you honor through peace is greater than what you would honor through sorrow. As you absorb this, notice how the tone of your thoughts changes. There is less questioning and more acceptance. Less tension and more balance. This is how truth feels when it aligns with the heart. It does not rush you. It does not pressure you. It simply settles, like something you always knew but are finally allowing yourself to believe. God says, this message is not ending here. It is preparing you for what comes next, for the way this understanding will quietly influence your days, your choices, and the way you relate to yourself. The connection you cherished has done what it was always meant to do. It has shaped you into someone capable of carrying peace forward, and that peace is now becoming part of your path. The message deepens now, not by adding new words, but by awakening something familiar within you. God says, there are seasons when the soul needs reassurance more than direction, and this is one of those seasons. You have been strong for a long time, stronger than most people realize, carrying responsibilities, emotions, and expectations without asking much in return. The one you cherished understood this about you. They saw your quiet strength even when you doubted it yourself. God says, the truth meant for you is not only about what was shared before, but about what is still being poured into you now. Love does not end its work when circumstances change. It transforms into influence, into inner guidance, into a steady presence that gently shapes your choices. That is why you often find yourself choosing compassion even when you are tired, choosing patience even when you could walk away, choosing hope even when uncertainty surrounds you. There were moments when you felt you had to grow up faster than you were ready, moments when life asked more of you than felt fair. God says, those moments did not break you, they refined you. And the one you cherished was never distant from that process. Their love became part of your resilience, part of your ability to endure without becoming hard. This message is also a reminder that you do not have to keep proving yourself. You do not have to justify your feelings or explain your journey to anyone who does not truly listen. The truth meant for you affirms that your path does not need constant validation. You are allowed to move at your own pace, to heal in your own way, and to define success according to peace rather than pressure. God says, sometimes you look back and wonder if you are honoring the memory correctly, if you are living in a way that reflects the love you received. Know this: choosing peace honors love. Choosing growth honors love. Choosing to stay open rather than closed honors love. You do not honor connection by holding on to pain. You honor it by allowing it to strengthen you. As this understanding settles, something subtle begins to shift. They would want you engaged with life, not standing at a distance from it. And that desire aligns with what heaven has always intended for you. You are meant to live fully, not cautiously. You are meant to trust your instincts, not second-guess every step. This part of the message prepares you for release, not separation, but release from heaviness. Release from the belief that love must hurt to be real. Release from the idea that remembering means holding sorrow. The truth meant for you is gentler than that. It is permission to breathe freely again, to move forward without hesitation, and to let what was meaningful continue to be meaningful in a healthier, lighter way. God says, stay present with this feeling. Let it become familiar. It is the foundation for what comes next. The message is still unfolding, and what follows will help you see not only what has been carried with you, but where you are being led now, with clarity, calm, and a renewed sense of inner strength. The message reaches its quiet completion now, not as an ending, but as a settling. God says, some truths arrive not to change your outer world immediately, but to realign your inner one so that everything else can follow naturally. You were never meant to carry unresolved emotions forever. You were meant to learn from them, be softened by them, and then be free enough to step forward without fear of forgetting what mattered. The one you cherish does not wish to be remembered through ache or longing. Their love was never meant to weigh you down. It was meant to support you, to become part of the strength you stand on when life asks you to rise again. God says, love that is true does not cling. It releases with trust, knowing it has already done its work. There is a reason this message comes to you now and not earlier. Earlier, you were surviving. Now, you are ready to live with intention. Earlier, you were healing wounds. Now, you are learning how to move without guarding every step. This message arrives at the point where remembrance can turn into wisdom, and memory can turn into direction rather than distraction. God says, you are allowed to smile without feeling conflicted. You are allowed to plan, to hope, to imagine more for yourself without feeling as though you are leaving anything behind. Nothing meaningful is lost when you grow. Nothing sacred disappears when you choose joy. What was shared with you has already become part of who you are, and who you are is carrying it forward in the only way that truly matters. You may notice from this point onward that certain thoughts no longer return with the same intensity. Certain questions no longer demand answers. Certain emotions soften without effort. This is not forgetting. This is integration. This is what happens when the heart finally understands that it does not need to hold pain to prove that love was real. God says, the full truth meant only for you is this: you are not meant to pause your life in reverence. You are meant to move through it with grace. You are meant to build, to connect, to experience new chapters without constantly looking over your shoulder. The one you cherished would want your life to expand, not narrow. And heaven agrees. As you step forward from this moment, carry the calm you feel now with you. Let it inform your decisions. Let it steady your reactions. Let it remind you that you are supported in ways that are quiet but constant. You are not walking alone, and you never truly were. God says, this message does not need repetition. It needs trust. Trust that what mattered remains intact. Trust that you are allowed to live fully. Trust that peace is not betrayal, and happiness is not distance. It is continuation. The truth has been shared. Not loudly, not urgently, but clearly. And now it rests with you, not as a burden, but as a gentle strength that will keep showing up in your life, exactly when you need it most. If this message resonated with your soul, don't forget to like and share so this divine energy reaches more hearts. Subscribe now for daily spiritual messages and comment, Amen, to affirm your faith and blessings.